Hello, welcome to Holy What. You may have noticed by now that I wear the same shirt every time I film one of these. I do. I wear this shirt every day. Hey, I wonder if you ever watched a fellow on PBS named Bob Ross.
Maybe in our world, there lives some trees. I think there were some evergreen trees. Ooh, here goes our beautiful little tree right there.
Bob Ross was a painter on PBS. I used to love watching Bob Ross. He had the biggest white guy afro that I've ever seen. Bob Ross, almost every time you'd watch his program, he'd have this gorgeous landscape of like a cabin in the woods and these happy trees that he'd paint and mountains, and it was just gorgeous. And then toward the end of the program, he'd be like, let's put another something over here. And he'd take like this black paint and just go all over the canvas, and you'd be like, yo, ruined your painting, Bob Ross. But 2 minutes later, he'd add a little detail here and there, and you'd be like, oh my gosh, you were brilliant, Bob Ross. Every time he would trick you. He'd trick you. He'd make a gorgeous canvas and then ruin it, and then be like, haha, tricked you. I meant to do that.
Go right into some brown.
I wonder if God is Bob Ross. Like, we look at this canvas and we think it's gorgeous, things are perfect, and then something happens. It ruins part of our life. We're like, no, why did you ruin that part of my life? I loved it. And God's just kind of like, I'm going to trick you. This is going to be beautiful. Just wait. But we as the viewer, we don't know that. We're not Bob Ross. He knows the end. He knows what it's going to look like in the end, and it's going to be beautiful. But for us, while this is taking place, things may happen that don't seem beautiful. They may seem horrible. They may seem really, really ugly and tragic. Now, I'm not saying that everything that happens in our life is God's doing. I don't believe that. I don't believe everything happens for a reason. I believe terrible things happen and they're not supposed to. But I do believe that if God is who he says he is, that he's able to take those terrible, ugly things and turn them into something beautiful. Now, it may not happen when we want it to. Sometimes Bob Ross would leave that horrible, ugly, black thing in the corner of the canvas for a while, and you'd be like, when are you gonna fix that? Because you knew he would. At least you hoped he would. I remember literally watching some of these episodes and be like, he ruined it. He ruined the picture. And I'd be really angry, like, it was so good, why did he do that? And every time, he'd trick me, and he'd fix it up, he'd add some paint here or there, and it'd be like, oh, Bob Ross, you knew what you were doing. I think maybe God is Bob Ross.